I've heard a lot of people say that you can't access SQL Server using ASP.NET Core. That's just not true. Let's mash on that. Okay, so starting off here, I have this data access project here. I've just created a brand new project using the same Yeoman generator that I used in the last episode. So let's take a look and see what we need to add to get access to SQL Server. So our first port of call here is going to be in our friendly project.json. So this is a file that's going to contain all of our references to everything important. And in here, I'm just going to put in a reference to system.data, not .common, system.data.sql client, except with correct quotes this time, and a comma on the previous line. And I'm going to take version 4.1.0 dash, that's the one, in fact. Okay, so that is the system.data namespace that everybody knows and loves from normal projects. And I'm also going to pull in one of my favorite libraries, which is Dapper, and I'm going to bring in 1.50 RC2A. Naming is getting complicated now.
So how do we know which one of those that we would use? I guess just the RC2 moniker is enough, and then RC2A just seems to be the latest version.
That is greater than the previous version. If
Right.
it's something that you're interested in, you can do this.
Right. Pull up the NuGet feed and see what the latest.
So, yeah, looks like this is the latest version here. So this just came out maybe 3 or 4 days ago.
Right.
As of recording time, and I am at least 2 of those 301 downloads. And then SQL client, the same sort of thing here. So not sure if that'll be enough to find a system data SQL client here. So this is like an official Microsoft package owned by a bunch of Microsofty sounding things and authored by Microsoft. So this is the official way of doing it.
Right.
And if you look here, you can see that it has those commonly used types you'd expect, like SQL connection in it. And the latest version of this, like the RC2 version of this, so this one here, has added support for a few things that were missing previously. So bulk loading is now back in this version.
Right.
And I think I want to call mass or MAS, like the multiple result set.
Right.
Stuff is back in this. So this is, I mean, it was already a pretty good implementation, but this is an even more complete implementation now. So you should have no problem using pretty much anything on this. So let's go and continue to play here. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to set up something to hold my database configuration settings here. To pull them from the configuration. So this is just a Poco class here that has a default string inside of it. And in order to use that in my startup here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a couple of lines here. And I'm specifically interested in adding this database configuration here, basing it on the database connection strings, which is a section inside my app settings here. So this is the connection string that I'm going to be using to connect to the database, and that will get populated and pushed into my dependency injection framework so that I can pull that out at some later point. With that all set up, I'm going to drop into my home controller here, and I'm going to set up a query here. So I'm going to do well, actually, I should start off here that I have a constructor here for the home controller that takes in an iOptions of database configuration, and it's going to grab the value of that and pop that in here. So it's kind of class global. And
So
when
that's
I'm
coming
doing
from that DI configuration
Yep.
that you did.
Yep, that's right. So I get it in as an iOptions because I registered options in the dependency injection framework. So this will at least pass something in. Like if I forget to register that, then I'll at least get an options object here that's kind of empty. But I'm just assuming that it works here, so this is probably not the best approach here. I should check and see if it's got actually some value to it. So I could just do like whether it's equal to null. And while I'm here, I should point out that this is just Visual Studio Code, and I went and installed the OmniSharp extensions for this, just doing like control extensions, OmniSharp. I just did that, and that has added all sorts of cool stuff here. So I can now get like autocomplete inside here, and I can also do crazy things like I haven't tried this with an extension method, but let's give it a try here. So you can see this isn't working right now. I can hit control period here, and it gives me a bunch of options.
Oh, it found the using data.
Adding,
nice.
Yeah, so this is awesome. I don't even know why I would use Visual Studio anymore.
Sacrilege.
Yeah, honestly, like if there was support for good refactorings in here, like, I mean, maybe there is, and I just haven't found them yet, then I gotta tell you, I don't know in most of my projects if Visual Studio would be something I would use. Anyway, I've gone here and I've used Dapper to query against the database. For those of you who have not used Dapper before, it is a fabulous little super lightweight object relational mapper, which basically just maps the results of a query into some object. So it doesn't have any of the stuff that Entity Framework has, like there's no navigation properties or anything like that. And if I update something on one of these users, it doesn't care because it's already detached from the database and those sorts of things. Like this just returns a list of users. So it's just an IEnumerable. It's not even an IQueryable. So it's actualized already. So it runs right here. So this is a great way of doing that, and of course it supports all of our like async stuff. So I can do like task this. I already have tasks in here. System threading tasks. I do. That's nice. And I can do like create async here and await this.
Await. Right on.
So that's all fine and dandy. So let's just go and prove that this actually works. Switching back to the command line here, I can just run a .NET restore to make sure that I have all of my packages in place. So that looks all good. Now I can do a .NET build optionally, but I'm just going to go straight to .NET run, which will run the build
right, it
step
detects that there's a change. Yeah, inputs have been modified, so it will be compiled.
That's right. So that's opening itself up on port 5000 here. So let's just go over here and check port 5000. And in the background here, you can see it's actually starting to do its execution here. And right in this section here is where I'm printing out a couple of names from my database. So if I go and check the database that I have over here, you can see that I've got a couple of users in the database. There's no easy way to zoom in on this one.
I think it's pretty visible, though. We've got
these two unknown users that happen to be in the database, and those are what's getting printed out here, just to show you that I'm not super cheating. Over on the index page here, I'm just taking all of the users from the model and printing them out, and the model is just an IEnumerable of users.
Okay, so I noticed some interesting casing on the columns in the database. Could we have a look at the user class in your models?
Yeah, so I quickly typed in names in the incorrect capitalization here, but then you're interested in the model, which is right here. So I have proper capitalization here.
Gotcha.
At least proper in my mind. I don't know, this is debatable, email versus email, but
I think it's become enough of a noun now that it has earned a lowercase m.
You think so?
I think so. Otherwise, the verb conjugation gets very interesting with a capital M in there as well. If I'm emailing you something.
Email, I guess. I don't know.
Starts to look pretty awkward.
Somewhere Shakespeare is getting really, really pissed off about this whole thing. Also, my 10th grade English teacher is probably fuming. But I'm sorry, Miss Baldwin. I'll try and do better.
That was a long time ago.
It was. I hope she's still alive. She was hilarious. I think that's kind of everything. So you can definitely access the database. You can use it directly using like SQL client. You can use Dapper. You can use Entity Framework. There's lots of different ways of getting access to the database. Those are
Sure.
probably like the three big ones.
Yeah, and I mean, I think anything that's happening inside of Entity Framework is just wrapping these classes, anyways. Like, so the important things are you're going to pull in minimally the package for system. What was the exact package name again, Simon? Sorry.
So the package name is in our project adjacent here. So it's just system.data.
System data SQL client. Right. So we're pulling in SQL client, and then optionally you pull in some kind of ORM. And there, I mean, minimally, something like Dapper is going to allow you to at least do the mapping from table columns to property on a class. So it's super handy, even if you don't want a full-blown ORM. But in either way, you were able to access SQL Server.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no problem accessing SQL Server, and in fact, I'm even running in like .NET Core. So this stuff it works on .NET Core. So
works.
You can run this on Linux. You can run this on OS X. Any way you want. All
Beautiful.
Good. All right, great, everybody. Thanks for showing up, and we'll see you in the next episode of the ASP.NET Monsters.